Patrick Mahomes is into aquariums. Did you know that?
Really? I didn't know he had a tank.
Mahomes. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes has a tank right here. It's a wall divider tank. What's up, Reef Fanatics? Welcome back to the Coral Reef Talk podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about amazing aquarium designs. And with me, as always, Levi Peterson, the oddball reefer.
What's going on, everybody?
So today, man, we're going to be diving into some beautiful reef aquariums, some unique, different designs. There's a lot of options out there as far as building an aquarium or just having one in your home.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into this one.
Yeah, so what have you been up to recently this week? How's work going?
Work's been going good. We've been staying pretty busy, even though a lot of this time of the year it's a little bit slower in the industry. But we're doing pretty well right now. Coral systems are looking great at work. I got a lot of orders coming in this week, so I'm excited to stock them back up with some new coral. All the tanks at home are doing really well right now, so yeah, can't complain. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, man. Just did a huge water change on the 125 yesterday. Changed out 20 gallons of water, siphoned out some green hair algae, moved corals around. Like I mentioned in the previous episode, I have some monopora that's not doing so well, so kind of moved them around, did some water testing. So we'll see. Time will tell with those guys if they'll bounce back or not.
Definitely.
But yeah, other than that, let's jump into it, shall we? Today we're looking at aquarium design. So these are going to be beautiful, mind-blowing reef tanks, just because of the unique build or design. So, of course, you have standard aquariums. Oh, real quick, have you ever heard of Sea Friendly Reef on YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sea Friendly Reef, he shared this video. I don't know how long ago it was, but it's 10 types of reef aquariums. So let me bring this up on the screen. Maybe we'll take a look at some of this footage here. But you can see right here, you have your standard aquariums, beautiful reef tank right here. Look at those corals in there, wall to wall. But standard tank, right? You got your stand, you got your tank, you got your lights above it. Beautiful, simple design that anyone in the hobby can jump into. These are like your tanks that are already like pre-made. There's different dimensions already ready for you in the hobby. People go out and buy these all the time. But outside of the amazing corals in these tanks, these are more of what you see every day. These are like everyday tanks. But today we're actually going to be talking about different styles of tanks and also different styles of tanks that you can have at home. Starting with our first one here, a Lagoon Tank.
Yes.
So this is something you're pretty familiar with.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I love Lagoon Tanks. It's something different, you know. It's a different approach. Not even to just reef tanks, but I mean, Worldwide Corals did a great job with this Lagoon Tank. It's a reef tank, but you also get into like the shallow water, hence the like lagoon name. And They got a mangrove in there as well, just to kind of fixate all that in. It's just really cool. They're some of my favorite tanks. I do not have a Lagoon Tank set up at the moment, but as soon as I'm able to, if I have more space at some point in time, I'm definitely going to do it. Like, by far, my favorite kind of setup. Shallow water, you get to view all the corals and stuff or whatever you have in there very well. And it makes for a different, unique environment that some other tanks can't really achieve.
Yeah. Do you find like a shallow reef or lagoon tank, do you find that easier to manage or work on compared to some of the other tanks?
Yeah, I mean, I used to have a small lagoon tank set up right where this 40 cube is right now. Yeah. And it was relatively easy to clean, like especially the glass, because you don't really have to reach up and around, get your whole arm in the water. You can just like scrape right on the side. I mean, it was probably 8 inches deep. Like, it was real shallow. Yeah, super easy to keep. Water changes are pretty easy. I'd say it's honestly a little bit easier than a regular reef tank for maintenance wise. I mean, the size that this specific tank is at Worldwide Corals, I mean, it might be a different story there. But in my personal experience with smaller lagoon tanks, they're relatively easy to care for and take care of as far as maintenance goes.
Yeah, because the lagoon tank that we're looking at least in the larger picture there at Worldwide Corals, 1,200 gallon
Crazy
tank there. So that's a huge water volume. I believe someone gets in there, like walks around in there and cleans it out and manages it that way. So that's a lot different than your home aquarium. You're not going to be swimming around or walking around in your home tank. Well,
exactly.
some people might. There's some large aquariums out there.
Yes, there is.
But yeah, for your average reefer, I don't think we're swimming in our 75-gallon tanks or 125s.
Nope.
All right, so lagoon tanks, those are awesome. Let us know in the comments what you think about lagoon tanks, or if you have a lagoon tank of your own. Let us know what you're keeping in it and how you like it compared to maybe a tank you've had in the past. Moving right along, we have drop-off tanks. These are pretty cool tanks. I want to say they started becoming popular probably a few years ago, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. A few years ago.
Yeah, you had the peninsula style tanks, and then they added this section right here where it kind of drops off. It's pretty unique.
It's definitely different, and I've heard kind of mixed reviews on these types of aquariums. Depending on how you set it up, like the drop off, I've heard multiple people mention that it's hard to get like a good amount of flow down there to still keep things moving down in that spot. Because I mean, the way you're looking at this tank right now, you can see it looks like it has an overflow on the top right, my right that I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. I can't see the front of this, but doesn't look like there's much down by where the drop off is. So I don't know how well that water circulates. I hear a lot of people that complain about that. But I mean, the solution would be probably to put like some kind of wave maker down a little bit lower to be able to push that water up and just keep it circulating. But other than that, like this would definitely be a super unique system to have. I've always imagined eventually doing one of these systems, having like some shallow water aquaporter up top, branching out over the drop off, and kind of like this is like having some Antheus down there just to kind of hang out on the drop off underneath the acros, and maybe put some other LPS on the bottom. But yeah, super unique tank. I mean, you don't see these too often, but when you do, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw them starting to gain popularity and everything, like it's pretty unique. I was kind of concerned away at like how they're built. If like you might get like leaks down there where it drops off or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I guess they seem to be doing really well as they're pretty popular. But yeah, that water flow situation, even if you do put like a small pump down there, it kind of goes against the aesthetics of it a little bit, because now you're gonna have something hanging off the side or poking out the side there. So it kind of ruins that effect. So you may want like, I don't know, very intense flow at the top there where you're pushing a whole bunch so it comes
to be able to circulate it back up.
Back up. Yeah. Or you just keep like super low flow corals and stuff down there at the bottom. But yeah, drop off tanks, pretty unique, pretty special tanks. Kind of a, not an addition to, but a expansion of the peninsula style tank.
Yep.
You might say something like that. Well, cool. So each week I kind of want to jump into something unique, maybe that you and I have seen on the internet or on social media, jump into some articles. What have you found this week? I don't know. We could call this like the news report. I don't know. Some working title.
Yeah, I mean, there's always crazy stuff going on in the industry. Recently, I came across the Reef Builders article, a couple actually, about a banded angelfish that they're actually like able to sell now, and they're captive bred, from what I recall, if I read the article right. Which is super cool. It's unique. You don't see these hardly ever anymore. They're going to be super expensive.
Oh,
But
I'm
like
sure.
just
Yeah.
the sheer beauty of these is super cool. And if you're able to pick one up at a reasonable price, I definitely would. So I'm super excited to see captive bred banded angels available. It's super cool. I haven't seen one in person in a very long time. So it's just super cool to see them, like the captive bred ones, kind of making a statement in the industry. And hopefully, eventually down the road, they'll get cheaper. And I think with captive bred stuff in general, with the way things are going, like as they keep breeding them, quantities will build up and the prices will start to fall slowly over time. So I can't wait to see that all kind of slowly take place. But yeah, a lot of cool things going on in our industry, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you remember when Pama Labs introduced their captive bred angelfish? This was a few years ago now, but
Yep.
yep, more and
Yeah, pretty
more
sweet.
angelfish coming in. This is going to be sold by,
Angelfish. I mean, you're starting to see more tangs available now. Different types of tangs
yep,
starting to hit the market. Yellow tangs a couple of years ago, that was a huge one.
yeah, that was a really big one. I hope prices start to fall. I mean, there's
I think
no
they
way.
will. I mean, eventually there's going to be quite a few in the market to where that's going to have to happen in order to keep selling them, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
well,
they got the yellow. Iota seems to have the yellow tangs on lockdown, and they're producing them pretty well. So
yeah, they are.
hopefully
Yeah,
prices slowly start to fall, and it looks like they have a little bit since they've originally started coming out with them. But
yeah, since they originally were like the absolute only option, they were like over $200, $400, something like that.
yeah, they're expensive.
Now I think they're like 165 or 190, something like that.
Yep, I think it's
Um,
165.
165. Yeah, they're never going to be the $40 price that they used to be, though. That's not going to happen.
Nope.
Man, I miss those days. A yellow tang
I
for
remember
40
the
bucks.
first tang I purchased was a yellow tang, and if I recall right, it was $30 at my
Wow.
local fish store.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
insane. Not going to happen anymore.
Nope.
Let's see. I have a interesting thing that popped up on my Instagram as I was scrolling. In Apollo Beach, Florida. This is the Florida Aquarium. They are, I don't know how to close the comments here, but I'll kind of play it through with no sound. But they're doing a scientific project that is diving into the research of like cryogenics and stuff, and like freezing. Cryobiology is what they're talking about here, where they're going to freeze different larval stages of the pillar coral. And
Okay.
that way they're going to be able to, I guess, have that later whenever the time is right for them to use that larvae and help the pillar coral to grow to repopulate different reefs. So,
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's very interesting science. You can freeze these things and keep them their biology like secure for years. Like, look at that coral, how it just spurts out
That's awesome.
the larva stage there. But it's a way to conserve the pillar coral. So I'm sure they're looking at the research to conserve a lot of different corals that way. So I thought that was very unique that I wanted to bring to the table today.
Yeah, Carrie over there at the Florida Aquarium is doing some pretty amazing things. It's really cool to see that kind of stuff occurring.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing that with like the pillar coral and the staghorn and also the alphorn coral over there. It's pretty cool to see.
Now, you mentioned another article that you have. What's this one
Yes.
about? So
this one is about, by far, the coolest coral beauty angelfish I've ever seen in my life. It's gorgeous. It's,
wow.
I want to say, aberrant coral beauty. Like,
Aberrant
just look at the sheer color of this. It's just amazing. Like, it's almost like the colors flip-flopped of what a normal coral beauty is. I just like the purple on the bottom and the yellow on the head. Like, it's like a rainbow coral beauty. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. And I think, hoping it goes to a good collector that's going to take care of this fish and we'll be able to see it like in the future again. But like, that's just such a cool coral beauty angelfish. And I wish I had the money for it because I definitely snatched it up.
Right? Yeah,
it's beautiful.
super cool. And I was about to ask, is it this like an offspring of a captive bred fish, or was it wild caught? And it looks like it was wild caught in the Philippines.
So yes, this is wild
Or
caught in the
yes.
Philippines. Yes.
Okay.
So pretty insane. This specific supplier seems to get some pretty crazy fish. But yeah, super cool, and obviously one of a kind. Probably won't see anything like that again for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's quite the coral beauty. That's definitely a beauty for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So that is Reef Tank news, or I don't know, we can't say new news because that's taken by another podcast. But we'll try to throw in something like that each and every week. But jumping right back into our beautiful tanks, I titled this segment right here, or this one, Stairway to Tanks. Look at these Stairway tanks. What do you think about these? I mean, having one of these in your house, if you have multiple stories, what would you like better? Like the one on the left where it's kind of like a sleek in the wall, or the one on the right where it looks like you can access it from under the stairs as well?
I'd say like I like the one on the right, but I think the one on the left looks a little bit more appealing and more like neat. Like I'm someone that likes, neat stuff, make it look good. And I think that looks really good right there. Kind of a good use of space too. You're making that specific space in your house a cool area to look at. I mean, who normally looks underneath the staircase? I mean, that's going to attract your attention. That's pretty cool. It's in the wall, right? Yeah, it looks like it's
in the wall. So
yeah,
I
that's
assume
super
there's
cool.
a whole fish room behind it, I'm assuming.
Yep. Yeah, probably. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, I don't know. What do you feel about maybe if the tank was a little bit bigger, like that window opening was a little bit bigger?
You could probably make it to where it could have taken up more space, and I definitely would have liked that. Yeah, that's just super cool, and I like the in the wall. I mean, you're not taking any space out of like your walkway right there or anything too, and it's just nice and sleek. It looks really good.
Yeah, so like we were talking about the standard tanks earlier, where you have the stand just taking up space. This is sleek and clean. All the fish stuff is in its own room, out of the way.
Yep, tucked away. You don't have to see any of the random stuff that you see in a typical reef tank.
Yeah, well, even like I know for me, sometimes I leave buckets out from water changes or the siphon hose out. Like, you can easily make your nice living room a mess by doing water changes and not picking things up. So
absolutely.
So that's a cool way to kind of hide all that mess. Hopefully it's organized in there. You're not like opening the door and falling in.
Right.
But yeah, it's a cool looking tank, cool looking design. I have stairs over here, so maybe something like that. I don't think the closet underneath my stairs would have enough room to encase all that or enclose all of that. But
yeah, super cool.
But yeah, so these next tanks though, these are some of my favorite right here. Room divider tanks.
Yeah, these are pretty amazing. I've actually been to a house that had something very similar to this, like dividing like the dining room and the living room, and like from wherever you were sitting in the whole, like it was pretty much open, like the top right here. From wherever you're sitting, like anywhere throughout those two rooms, you could just see the tank and observe it. And it's beautiful. It's really cool. And it's a super cool idea just to attract attention from all over the place. And you get 3 sides of viewing. You get both sides, and then you get the end of the peninsula there. I think that's really cool. Yeah, that's a super cool idea. And I'd definitely like to do this one day.
Yeah, it's super clean look. In some of these fancy houses, man, I wonder if the homeowner themselves is a reef enthusiast enough that they're taking care of the tank, or if it's just a maintenance service that's keeping it clean. But I mean, either way, it's a really cool idea. But yeah, if you're enjoying the tanks so far, let us know in the comments below which one's your favorite. And now, Levi, I think we're going to jump into a scientific segment.
Let's do it.
All right. Let me see if I got the right slide. There we go.
All right. So I personally think this fish is overlooked beyond reason. Super closely related to, your typical firefish, your purple firefish, or even like the halfreechies. They're in that same family. This is zebra dartfish. I'm gonna murder the scientific name, Pterolotris zebra. But yeah, they're super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, just the sheer color of them, and obviously their zebra name with the orange stripes on them. It's a colorful fish. They like to school just like any other dartfish would. They get a little bigger than your typical firefish, but it's just something different and something unique. Like if you're looking for something other than like your regular firefish, which is normally relatively cheap, and maybe you're not looking to spend a bunch of money on like a purple firefish or even like the halfreechy firefish, look no further than the dartfish. Like these guys are really cool. They're colorful. They're going to school. They're not going to break your bank either. Yeah, so definitely a cool little addition to any tank, probably bigger than 30, 40 gallons.
Yeah, 30 gallons or larger.
Like 2 to 3 of them. But yeah, they're super different, and they're common. I mean, if you ask your local fish store if they can get them, they probably will, or shouldn't have an issue getting them. We have them all the time at my work usually. And I just think they're an overlooked fish. They're super cool, something a little different. This picture doesn't really do them the justice that they deserve, but they look great.
Yeah, and max size, you're looking at like 4 inches.
Yep.
So it's a nice medium fish that gets along well. It's a good, easy to care for fish. What about a lid? You probably want
just like any other dartfish species or your firefish, you're definitely going to want to have a pretty, like, not necessarily like a super tight lid because it's not a big fish, but you're definitely going to want something covering your tank because they do tend to jump. But yeah, other than that, they're super cool in my opinion and definitely overlooked. When they like get excited or look really cool, they like flare up their fins. And they look gorgeous. Like it's amazing to see when they flare up their fins, kind of like just the firefish and stuff. But yeah, super cool. A little bit different. But like I said, if you're looking for something different that's not going to break your bank and you don't want the typical, firefish or purple firefish, these are definitely a cool little option.
Yeah, I agree. Now, what do you think about tall tanks?
I personally have always wanted to do a tank that's like 5 to 6 foot tall, maybe just as wide as the tank behind me. That's 40 gallon. I keep using the wrong hand. Just like kind of like this tank kind of shows what I would like to do, kind of like a little trench, like a split in the reef,
Yeah.
But I would rather do it with like NPS corals. The only concern I would have, I've seen these at like public aquariums before, like a super tall tank with like an up current or a down current with like gorgonians and sponges, different NPS corals. That's always something I definitely have always wanted to do. Kind of showing like a trench or like just a wall of just coral. The only problem that I would definitely probably run into is just flow, like in these specific tanks, because they're so tall and you want it to look good. You don't want it to, have a bunch of pumps all over the place looking a little janky. Yeah, so that's my only concern with this specific tank, especially super tall ones. I guess I'd have to, reach out to some public aquariums that have systems like this and see kind of how they do it or how it's filtered. A lot of the time they do really good at like covering up that kind of stuff so you don't see it. So I'd be definitely interested to learn a little bit more about these tanks. I think they're a little bit underlooked, but I mean, they're probably definitely going to be a little more challenging to maintain too.
Yeah, and I'm sure they build up their rock structures, of course, are hiding a lot of that equipment and the pumps.
Absolutely.
They'll probably use like a closed loop type system where they have it coming up the bottom of the tank too.
Yep.
I mean, that's one way to approach it. Or like you have like a corner overflow maybe that you're covering up with corals and rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a really cool tank. For me though, I would hate to clean, like I don't like cleaning a deep tank. Like I had a
Yeah, that's one of the only things I'd definitely be concerned with. Trying to like get your arm all the way down there to get like the algae at the bottom.
Yeah, my 210-gallon tank sat on a 36-inch stand. It
Yep.
was 31 inches deep, so I had to climb up the ladder, reach in the top, and reach my arm all the way down to get to the bottom or to clean it. So,
Wow.
I mean, it was a 6-foot long tank, so it was just overall a really big tank. So, but this isn't necessarily a huge tank. This is just a deep tank. So that trade-off may be a little bit better if you're talking about just a tall tank that's not super long. You only have the one length to clean. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, so
just something a little different, unique. Something I'd like to try. I said that about every single tank we looked at today. So it's not a good sign for me. But hey. I like tanks.
You'll have wall-to-wall aquariums.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen those office desk aquariums?
Yes.
What do you think about those? I don't know how feasible they really are. Like the whole desk is like a tank.
Oh, the whole desk.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about like desktop tanks.
Oh no.
I have not seen those.
I don't think I have. Seen those?
I don't think so.
Hold on, we're gonna pause.
Like the desk itself is an aquarium.
Yes, there's a specific there's a specific meme that's floating around the internet. Let me see if I can show this picture right here. How do I just see the picture? Here we go. Have you ever seen this picture right here? This guy?
What?
I don't know about that. I don't know if I like that. I would be scared that my foot's gonna kick it and break it or something.
That or something like, I don't know. I don't know. I have a dog. Like I feel like the dog would run into it or like something. I don't know. It's cool, but it's like it almost looks sketchy. Like if something were to hit it or fall down or like something. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, or the glass itself on top shatters and just like everything falls and the whole thing shatters. Like
I mean it's cool looking, but I don't know. I don't see that very feasible.
Yeah, I want to know the source of this photo, like how real. I mean, it looks like a real photo.
It looks real. It looks like this dude likes his fish tanks because he has two other ones right there up above him.
I don't know, man. I want to find out. Crazy. Like, if anybody knows who this guy is, like, drop his name in the comments. I would like to research a little bit more about this. But I've seen this used for different memes and stuff online. Like, people are like, how much do you love your office? Stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. If you have any information, let us know in the comments. But next to a tall tank, we have the picture frame tank. And I think these are really elegant, really cool, nice framed up in the wall aquarium. I'm sure there is a entire fish room behind it like before, and I'm just noticing that this is underneath a staircase as well.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
I didn't notice that whenever I found this picture, but yeah, just in wall aquariums. I don't know, what are your thoughts about those?
Super cool. I mean, if I ever had a staircase like this and had enough room in like the closet underneath of it, I'd definitely do it. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like it'd be a good use of space for that if you were able to like actually get back in there and maintain it.
There was when my wife and I were looking for a new home, and we went into this one house that had a utility room, and on the other side of that room was the kitchen. And I was like, oh man, if we get this house, I was like, we have to make this a fish room, and we're going to put a tank in the wall. It would have been the coolest thing. But we didn't get that house, so no tank in the wall. But yeah, no, I love them. I think it's great. I think it keeps everything nice and clean, like we were talking about with the stairs. I mean, it's the same principle. You have a rope behind the tank that holds all the stuff, and you can go back there and keep all the fish stuff out of the room. keep the wife happy, keep everything looking nice. And it looks really cool. This one's full of coral right here.
Yeah, it looks great. So in this segment, I'd like to start doing it, every time we do a podcast, just to kind of break down something different that you may not see in the hobby or as much in the hobby. So, I'm the oddball reefer, so I like odd things. And I didn't feel like scientific segment was enough, to bring on crazy animals. So I wanted to have its own segment. So we're going to jump into it here. I recently got this fish. It's a stonefish. Super cool. It's big. This one's probably 8 inches long. It's in the 40-gallon behind me, which was the NPS tank, and it still is. I was just struggling, to find like the right fish, and I had a general idea for what I wanted to put in the tank, but it just didn't happen. So I'm working on filling the tank back up with some cool NPS corals to kind of add some color in there as well as some flow. Because right now I have the stonefish in there, and I can't put anything else in there. So I really enjoy this stonefish. Currently, it's eating live fish, that I gut load with like some reef nutrition. And it's doing really well. I've had it for almost a month now. Be aware, though, this is the most venomous fish in the world. And I'm not exaggerating whatsoever. People have died from, stepping on these in the wild. So I do not intend to, go crazy and scrub this tank and try to forget that it's in there, because I do not want to do that. But yeah, these are super cool. Something different. I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. You're going to want someone that's very careful. Sometimes I'm not careful, but I need to be careful with this specific fish because it's venomous. But yeah, something different, something unique. I'm super excited to see how it's been doing, but it's been doing great. I've been chowing down on some fish. It's really hardy, and it looks like a stone. Elizabeth thinks it's ugly, but I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unique. It's definitely an odd animal for sure, and definitely one that I don't know, that you don't see a lot in the home aquarium, I guess, because it's super dangerous or super venomous. But how does it act? Like, how does it eat the fish? Like, is it super quick like a lionfish? How it snaps the fish?
It's so quick that you don't even see its mouth move. Like, yeah. I'll have to record it once and show you. Like, the fish, if it gets anywhere like within a few inches of the mouth, like the fish just disappears. Like you see a little flinch, and the fish is gone. Like, it's so quick. I can't even comprehend how quick it is in my head. Like, I'm like, wow, like it's just gone. And it eats a lot. So I've been doing weekly water changes on this tank because it's eating like, I'm feeding it pinfish, which is a local fish. It's not really a nuisance, but they're mainly used as bait fish. Like, I bring them in, I just gut load them, I feed them a lot and make them, nice and fat for this guy to eat. Yeah, I mean, he goes through like 6 or 7 a week that are pretty large. Wow. But yeah, he's doing really well. It's something definitely different. The only thing, like I said, with this tank now, I'm trying to find some more movement, like the feeder fit, like the bait fish in there that are swimming around, like it adds some motion. But I want to like start putting in some more gorgonians and stuff in there just to get some more color and motion. Because this guy literally will just sit there. Like, he sits there all day. He moves every so often, but normally he's in the same spot and does nothing really. So
interesting. Yeah. So he just hangs out there in the same spot all day, day after day.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Very cool.
And I mean, like, if I brought someone in the house to show them this tank, they probably, like, if they look like, you really can't even tell what it is by looking at it. It looks like a rock. Like,
it does, yeah.
So if you brought in someone that has no idea what it would be, like, they're probably just going to think it's a rock. So it's pretty crazy. But, yeah, it's a 40-gallon tank, and it has practically nothing in it but the stonefish. And you really can't put anything else in there, like, as far as fish goes, except for what it's going to eat. So I've been thinking, though, like, maybe putting in some non-reef safe inverts, you know, some like a red general starfish, or do something similar to that, you know, to switch it up and have some unique inverts in there as well that it's not just going to eat.
Yeah.
So I think that might be another option to kind of add a couple different things in there that you don't typically see. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a super cool, unique specimen to have at home. Yeah, just don't be sticking your hand in there all the time.
No.
Yeah, super cool. Excited to see what you plan to add to that tank. But before we end the podcast here, I have another tank to discuss. This is Patrick Mahomes is into aquariums. Did you know that?
Really? I didn't know he had a tank.
Mahomes. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes has a tank right here. And it's a wall divider tank. Wall tank right here. Super cool tank. So he's got a Nassau tang in there.
Nice.
He's got clownfish and everything in there. It's a super huge tank. They didn't mention how many gallons that is, but look, he's got live coral in there. Super cool to see.
It looks smaller in that picture, but like with them two standing next to it, it definitely shows that it's a lot bigger than what it looks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So is it a peninsula or is the back blanked out? It looks like the back is painted.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah,
I do kind of like that design though, how it's kind of like it's not centered into the cabinetry, it's like offset. I think that's kind of a different look. So you get the end like to look into. That's kind of a cool idea. I like that.
So I'm thinking off to the left there where it's not centered. I think that's
filtration.
Probably a room. Yeah, filtration.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe a little room to get access, unless
so like
there's access behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've seen,
I like that.
If you watch Quarterback on Netflix, that's where I saw this, and I was like, "What? Patrick Mahomes has an aquarium? That's super cool."
It's pretty cool.
This is like his brand new house too. It's insanely massive mansion with his own little golf course, or like I think he has like one golf hole on there and like a miniature football.
Yeah, I've seen like a football field, a soccer field, or whatever too. Crazy.
Yeah, his own basketball court. It's massive. But hey, when you win the Super Bowl and you're on an insanely good team,
yeah,
and you're successful like that, like he's a really good quarterback. So, but I don't know. That's cool to see that he has an aquarium. It'd be awesome one day to take a tour of his aquarium.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
But yeah, it'd be cool to see it. I think this his house was being built the end of last year. I think it was ready. So the tank now would be probably a little over a year old, or maybe coming up on a year.
Yeah,
a year old. So it'd be cool to see,
cool.
like
see what the update kind of.
Yeah, like an update. Because it's super fresh. Just a few corals in there, a few clownfish. It looked like, and a couple tanks.
That's pretty sweet.
Super cool tank. If I had the space to do a tank like that, it might be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I like that like offset, like where it's not centered into the cabinetry. I think that's really cool.
Actually, there was one more that I wanted to show you. Have you seen a floating reef tank?
I don't think so.
It's literally like there's no stand underneath it. It's like floating off the wall. But it's really it's a pretty huge reef tank. Let me see if I can find it for us really quick. Sea Friendly Reefs calls it a hyper reef tank. But look at that. That is amazing.
What?
Dude, all that weight, and it's just like it's got this floating design to it. Let me go back.
Wow.
I think
they gotta have like that's gotta be like steel like underneath that's like
look
attached
at that
to something. That's crazy. That's cool though.
Yeah, it's
I like that a lot.
And the corals and fish and everything in it are doing
it looks phenomenal. Well.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Like, I guess that was two different ones. Maybe this is the front of it, but like the acros and the nems in there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yellow
I like that a
tangs.
lot. Yellow tangs.
Yep.
Wow. That looks great.
Yeah, so I think out of all of these, I think that I would probably choose a floating tank to kind of divide a little bit of everything, right? So you got the floating peninsula style tank that is a room divider as well. Super cool.
Yeah, it's super sleek looking. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that and see how much weight that is, like what's supporting that. I like you said, I imagine it's a steel beams coming out to hold all that weight.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's gotta
a lot
be.
of water
There's
weight.
no way.
Yeah. But cool.
One more segment here before we break things off. We're going to try to bring forth you guys a product every week, that we may use or that just came like into the hobby that we're looking forward to use. But this is just a common product, that people may use all the time when they're getting new corals, adding things to their tank, just to remove any like nuisance critters on there. And this is just Two Little Fishies Revive. One of my favorite coral dips. It's the only one I use currently. It works really good. It's like a citric acid base, and it's great. It's not too expensive, and it gets the job done for your flatworms and other random organisms that are going to be hitchhiking on like corals and even frags that you don't want to put in your reef tank, to compromise your reef. So yeah, if you haven't used it or haven't tried it out, I definitely recommend taking a look at this. It's relatively common. Most of your local fish stores will probably have it. And if not, BRS TV, saltwateraquarium.com will have it. But yeah, works great. I definitely would recommend it. It's definitely a great, little coral dip or coral cleaner as they call it. But yeah, super cool. And it works great. So definitely recommend that if you guys are ever looking, to try a different coral dip or just are looking for something, to remove little bugs or nuisance critters on your corals.
Yes, it's super good. I used it on my mushroom corals, had flatworms on them, and it got rid of them like crazy.
Awesome. Yeah, it works great. I love it. And it's not going to break the bank either. And you get a good amount for what you purchase. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up a video here, but yeah, just a few capfuls.
Yeah, a little goes a long ways. And it works great, and it works quick too. I mean, you'll do that, and you'll start to see like the flatworms just like falling right off of it.
Yeah, right here. Look at all those flatworms, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. That's crazy.
But yeah, I'll leave a link to this video in the show notes and in the description below, so you guys can check that out too. But it definitely works, 100% getting these flatworms off.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Like just flatworms specifically, and even other different kinds of worms and critters, that you might not see right away. Even if you're buying, from a reliable source, I always try to just go ahead and just do a courtesy dip before you put it in your tank. And like a lot of the the gorgonians and even zoas and other stuff that I'm putting in the Caribbean are all like straight from the wild. So I definitely prefer just to be safe and do my best dip them. Even if it's a little heavier dip, just to try to make sure there's nothing on them. Because just one little thing creeping in your tank can cause a major issue down the road over time. So yeah, just always good to be courteous.
Yep, that is great advice. It's always good. It's a little mixed feelings on that. Some people like to dip their corals, some people don't. But just a little, just being cautious with your corals. If you don't have like a coral quarantine or anything set up, just dip your corals before you put them in the tank, and it goes a long way. So awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed the beautiful, unique, different styles of reef aquariums. And if you have any of these styles, let us know in the comments how challenging they are to work on, what you like about them, what you don't like about them. Let us know your favorites in the comments below.
Send us some photos too if they can. It'd be really cool to see some different designs and different unique tanks that people might have out there. So I mean, there's plenty of different styles we didn't mention today too. They're definitely worthwhile.
Yes, and if you have an offish, let us know.
Beautiful.
But cool. Thank you so much, guys, for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we will catch you in the next one.
See ya.